Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. And we definitely have a cognitive issue with the man currently in the White House. He lashed out at AOC and Jasmine Crockett while he was on Air Force One. And I don't know if you saw any of the clips of him in Japan, where he just wandered around a ballroom, just kind of forgetting that the Prime Minister of Japan was with him for a little while, and he wandered away from her, and then they kept having to sort of guide him in a direction, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'll go that way," and it's like, "No, we're actually going over here." Um, and his unhinged speech about magnets and bragging about sending any kind of military into U.S. cities, including Space Command if it needs to be. Like, you know, Biden didn't say anything close to as unhinged as he does and got lambasted over and over for it. And this guy just seems to get a free pass just because, he's quirky like that. Um, so he took this cognitive test, which they keep giving him, which in itself is not a good sign that he has to keep taking it, that they're watching his cognitive ability that closely. And it's the Montreal cognitive test. He's talked about it before. That it was a man woman TV camera, that whole thing that they give you a set of words, and then later in the test they ask you to repeat those without prompting. Um, and he said he was saying, let AOC try and take this test, or Jasmine Crockett try and take this test, and because he calls them low IQ, and it's not an IQ test. Sarah Haynes is correct. The fact that he couldn't even get it correct, that it's a cognitive ability test and not an IQ test, kind of speaks to his low cognitive ability. And then he was rambling on about it and said, it starts out easy, but after question like 5, you get to like question 10 or 20, and it's real hard. And there aren't 20 questions on the test. But it ends with things like being able to make associations. If I say hammer and screwdriver, how do you correlate those things? Well, they're tools. If I say, um, you know, uh, Rose and Daisy, you could say those are two ladies' names, or you could say those are both flowers. Like, where how do you correlate those things? Um, and and then you have to. Did I say this already? Here's my cognitive test about what I've spoken and what I haven't. And then, yeah, I did say this. You have to then repeat those words that you said that were given to you earlier. And then I think the end of the test is, where are you? What day is it? What year? What month? Like um, yeah, it's not a hard test. So I'd love to see it. Yeah, bring it on. Put AOC and Crockett and Trump in, little, put them in little boxes. You remember they used to do in the game shows? You'd get the little earphones and you'd go off in your soundproof room, and one person would answer and then the other person would answer, and sure, they'll do it on live television. I think Jimmy Kimmel has offered to host it. Um, let's see how they all do. Because I think it would be great to see on live television how well he finishes that cognitive test. Because I'm pretty sure he's not going to do well, and that's why AOC's answer is really funny. Is it is drawing the clock, because that's like the third question or a fourth question, and they make you draw a clock with the time on it, an analog clock. Um, anyway, so I don't believe that he's actually passing those tests, and he also got an MRI, and no one's asked why. That's not part of routine. Like, you don't just on a routine basis get an MRI. Um, but remember when we all thought he might be dead for a weekend? I think it was like somewhere around Labor Day weekend, and like so that was um 2 months ago, right? September. Oh, less than 2 months ago. But like, could it could it be a checkup? Could it be his 6 weeks checkup on the stroke he may have had? You see video of him with his mouth, like, the man is not well. But no, where's Jake Tapper? And the thing is, they're like, oh, we need an age limit. Oh, we need, and we need to make sure. So, well, clearly, giving a cognitive test doesn't help because he's getting them, and I don't think he's passing them. Unless you're doing them on live television, like do them during the debate. Um, but the biggest thing that we need is we need to not have a corporate media that that is run by the same oligarchs that own the government. Like we we're never going to get any kind of truth in journalism if those same companies have a vested interest in um, controlling the government. Like that's because everybody can see it, and there's all sorts of outlets talking about it, but mainstream media won't latch onto it. If it were a story about Biden or Obama or Clinton, they would be doing like 24-hour cycles about it. But they don't cover the Republicans in the same way, ever. That's exhausting. Um, and so, in the meantime, and I'm glad somebody finally said it, he's literally just blowing up boats in the Caribbean and in the Pacific. And they're saying that they're drug smugglers or drug traffickers or part of the cartel, but there's been no evidence. They can't even tell us who these people are that they've been murdering. That's wildly illegal. I want to get to the part where we skip ahead to the war crimes and we put these people in jail. Pete Hegseth can do all of his push-ups and bench presses from the prison yard. Like it's exhausting. The man is not well. And I said this yesterday about I think that he's cognitive enough to know that he isn't well, and that's why he's racing to create some sort of legacy. Um, in the meantime, he's torturing everybody, and I'm so pissed that SNAP benefits are going to run out, which has never happened, never once, never. There are contingency funds so that those kinds of programs can still be funded when there is no government running. It's bullshit. That's literally people being able to eat. People who have jobs who just don't make enough money because of corporate greed. I think we had this conversation yesterday. Um, and he doesn't give a shit at all. I hate his smug little smirk. I hate the whole tough guy, um, bravado when he's chicken shit. He's a cowardly little simpering fool who's just had a lot of people around him his whole life that say, "Oh, you're the best. Oh, you're great. Yes, sir. Good job, sir." Did you see what was it? South Korea gave him a gold crown. Like, here, Donnie. Here you go. Here, have a little present. Nice boy. Now, give us some weapons. Like, oh, it's exhausting, and it's also unnecessary. But it was much too difficult to go vote for the qualified brown lady. I don't know if we get to make it to midterms, but for some reason, and I don't know why, because everything weighs very heavy. Every day feels very heavy to me. I'm sure I'm not alone. That's not to say I'm the only one. Um, but there's something in the back of my head that just says we just got to get through the end of the year. You just got to get to the end of the year. And I don't know if that's some sort of wishful thinking, um, that that's gonna that because there's nothing in my conscious brain that says that anything is going to be better when it comes January. But somewhere in the back there, and maybe it's just wishful thinking, I don't know, but it just keeps saying we just got to get through the year. So I would like for something to happen sooner than that, but um, I don't know. I feel like when the year, when the year ends and it hasn't gotten better, I don't know if that is a spur to action or just where I just melt down. I don't know. Anyway, it's hump day, and I'm gonna take a walk around the lake because that is usually nice and mind clearing.